Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be drawing on the cover of my sketchbook because recently I've finished my third sketchbook and now it would be time to move on to my fourth. So I'm thinking that I'm going to try a new medium today, so I'm going to be trying Posca Pens. So this is going to be really fun since I'm also going to be drawing on the first page of my sketchbook as well. So here are the Posca Pens I'm going to be using. So now I'm just going to need to activate all of them, and I'm just going to need to take that out of the package. And there's also individual packaging for each of the Posca Pens, so I'm going to need to take that off as well. But let me do a time lapse of all of the activation for all of these, and I will get back to you in a moment. So here is the time lapse of me just activating all of these, and this actually took quite a while. Like, for some of them, I just needed to make sure that I actually activated them all. So here you could just see me doing the pink and then the red and all of them. And after swatching out all of the Posca Pens, I started doing a quick sketch of a girl, and this was mainly more for like experimentation and just trying to see how certain things would work with the Posca Pens. But something I quickly noticed was that I needed a lot more patience with the Posca Pens because I normally use markers on this channel, like alcohol-based markers, and for those they usually dry pretty quickly, so you don't need to worry about things like having it get on your hands or having it smudge or things like that. You don't need to wait for it to dry because it dries pretty quickly, and it would just stay on the paper, so you wouldn't need to worry about like it getting on your hands. But for the Posca markers and the Posca Pens, they weren't really drying as quickly as an alcohol-based marker. And that's like nothing to do with like the Posca Pens being bad or anything. That's just like it's literally paint in a pen. And I don't work with paint that often, so I just needed to be more patient with it. And I see a lot of people doing like these dashes to try to blend them together, like two colors, to try to blend two colors together. So I tried to do that with the pants, but I don't know. For my first go at it, it didn't look that great. And neither did the face, because I made a mistake with one of the facial features, so I tried to blend it out with the white Posca pen, and that just kind of made a gradient on the face, which looked kind of weird. So I had to wait for that to dry before I go over it with the white Posca pen again, and tried to add a little flower on the shirt, and then tried to add some lines on the shoes before going in and adding back some of the details that were on the facial features. And I tried to make the highlights pink, but I didn't wait for the black to dry. You'll notice a lot of problems with the first sketch was that I didn't wait for things to dry, like that smudge off to the side. So again here, I'm just kind of waiting for things to dry before I go back to the first sketch again, and I'm just doing a little gradient here because at this point I still thought I was going to use the entirety of the sketchbook cover for the drawing. So I just thought, well, hey, maybe I could just draw like some silhouette of a girl and she's looking at like the horizon or something before ultimately going back to the sketch and just fixing it. Another thing I noticed with people who use Posca Pens is that sometimes they use like dots to try to show things, like sort of similar to like pop art, I guess, where like they'd have dots to sort of show the skin before, and like they wouldn't really draw in the entirety of the skin. So I tried that, but I didn't really have an actual skin tone, so it just made it look kind of weird. So I just made the second sketch girl an elf girl and have her skin be yellow because like she's a fantasy species, so like, you know, it doesn't really have to conform to human skin tones. So now I'm redrawing the first sketch girl, the girl with the bun, because I really liked that design and I think the character could still work, It's just I didn't wait for the paint to dry the first time. So here now I'm just waiting for the paint to dry more, and I'm decided I would stick with line art because that's what I'm normally used to. It's just now I'm kind of trying to be more patient with the Posca pens, and also trying to keep certain things, and also trying to look at the sketchbook cover before ultimately realizing that the girl with the bun would probably be more on the first page rather than the actual sketchbook cover. And I decided that the elf girl would probably be on the sketchbook cover because the cover of my sketchbook is blue, and I just didn't want to use my white Posca pen to do a skin tone. I just didn't really feel like doing that. And I ultimately decided that probably doing the elf girl would be more fun for me, and I'd probably not have to use the white Posca pen as much, because something told me that I would probably be using that one the most in the future. So I decided to also give her a little flame, just kind of indicate more that she is a magical creature, like a magical being. So I also decided to give her a skirt because I wanted to like show more of her design and try to figure out what that would look like. And I also tried to be absolutely sure that I would be drawing in the flame with pink instead of orange because I didn't have an orange Posca pen in the set that I bought, so yeah. And then I started drawing on the actual first page. And with this, there wasn't a whole lot of issues with the girl. Like, I thought there would be more of like the bits and pieces of the sketchbook page just kind of peeling off, because that kind of happened a lot with the second page where I was trying to sketch everything out. But that wasn't happening a whole lot, so that was good. And a lot of where I guess some of the things that I didn't like arose was mainly with the border at the bottom, since that was where I was going to be showing where like the date was, where I started and where I ended, like finishing the sketchbook. And it just didn't look as clean, and that's where a lot of like the smudging and like the peeling of the sketchbook happened. So I don't know, that wasn't as great. And you can kind of see where some of me trying to fix the smudges happened. But for the actual girl herself, it wasn't that bad. I actually really liked the way she looked on the first page. So here you can just see me doing more of the pants, and I actually waited this time, so I think the pants actually looks pretty good. And there you can see where I wrote that I started the sketchbook before going to the actual cover and drawing the elf girl. Now for the elf girl, I kind of realized that the first time I drew her too tiny, so I had to erase it and draw it bigger the second time. But I honestly think that at first it was going really well. I actually really liked it, and the line art was going okay, actually. And so was the green. The green actually came in really well. But then I started drawing in the skin, and just it didn't look that great at first. But then I kind of remembered something that some artists said not to do, and I decided to do it because I thought that it would kind of fix it. So something that people say not to do is not to like do excessive pumping of the Posca pen, because it will put too much paint out and you might come up with little splotches and stuff on your piece. And I thought, well, I need to cover large areas with paint, right? So I decided to just keep pumping the Posca pen to have excess paint come out, so I would have more paint to work with and it wouldn't look as like streaky, I guess. But this did arise in some mistakes. Like you can see at the bottom, there's some excess yellow. But ultimately, I think that helped this piece look better. So I really like this one a whole lot. And honestly, I think the pumping helped me. But maybe I shouldn't try doing it too much in the future, because I did have to wait for it to dry more. But with that, both pieces are done. Now, if you like this video and you want content similar to this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would be greatly appreciated. And with that, I hope you have a magnificent day, and I will see you all later.